guys, welcome back to another video of ECK Sports, and I'm going to be predicting the top 50 free agents. Now, this is not my list, so don't be like, oh, this player's ranked over this player. This is someone else's list. I think I might put the link down below in the description, but we're going to go over the top 50 players. I'm going to talk about the years and the money per year and the team, of course. So, make sure you guys hit that like button and, of course, hit that subscribe button, as both really help me out. I want to hit 100 subscribers one day. I'm not saying at this point or another point. That's my goal. I want to hit 100 one day, so I can't do that if you don't subscribe. So let's get started with number 50. Number 50 is Daryl Williams, and I think he's going to re-sign with the Bills for a 2-year deal at around $11 million per year. He is a nice offensive tackle and played really well next year and should protect Josh Allen's right side. Number 49, Jameis Winston. I think he returns to the Saints for around $7-8 million a year for 2 years. A solid backup last year, and it just seems like he will be the starter next year. Number 48, Chris Carson. I think he returns with the Seahawks. Now, I'm sorry the bottom 3 are all re-signing, but I think it just makes a lot of sense. For only about $8 million a year over 3 years, he's 26 years old. I believe he rushed for 1,000 yards in both 2018 and 2019, except this year in 2020 he was injured. Number 47 is Patrick Peterson. I think he'll go to a team that's either a win now mode team or he'll go to a team that's kind of on that fringe. And I think that team will be the Las Vegas Raiders. I feel like they're on that fringe of win now and not win now mode. I think he'll go there on a 1-year deal worth about $6 million and probably the number 2 corner to Tavon Millen. Number 46 is Jayon Brown. The 25-year-old linebacker is great in pass coverage and can stop the run too. I think he's going to go to the Chargers for about $9 million on a 4-year deal. Number 45 is Kenyon Drake. I have him signing back with the Cardinals for a 2-year deal worth $14 million, so $7 million average salary. He has been a solid back through his couple of years, and while he hasn't been one of the best backs in the league, he's always been solid. Number 44 is Russell Okung. Russell Okung is kind of old, but I do think could help out a young offensive line in Miami for about $10 million a year over 2 years. At number 43, we have Dalvin Tomlinson, 26-year-old nose tackle. I just don't see him leaving the Giants. I see him staying there for about $9 million a year over 3 years. Number 42 is Shaquille Griffin. He is a very young cornerback, 25 years old, crazy. And I think he's going to go to the Jaguars for $12 million a year over 4 years. At number 41, you have Jonnu Smith, also a very young player, 25 years old. I think he'll be going to the Bills on a 2-year deal worth $20 million, $10 million per year. And when I say for Shaq Griffin, 4 years, $12 million, I mean $12 million per year. So yeah, $10 million per year. I think even though the Bills do have some good tight ends with Crofts and Knox, I feel like they could use another tight end that can also run block as well. Number 40 is Alejandro Villanueva. He's a 32-year-old tackle, played really well at the Steelers last year, and is really just a good offensive lineman in general. I think he's going to go to the Seahawks on a 2-year deal worth about $12 million. The reason why I have him going there is because Russ has said he wants, an offensive line, and I think Alejandro Villanueva makes a lot of sense. Curtis Samuel, probably the youngest player on this list, 24 years old. I think he's going to sign with the Washington football team for $10 million a year over 4 years. He would fit perfectly with Terry McLaurin, and he would kind of be that slot guy that can also rotate outside. And he's even sort of like a 3rd or 4th string running back too. So he would fit perfectly into Washington's scheme and system and would be great for whoever the quarterback is. At number 38, you got Mike Hilton. Mike Hilton has always been a nice nickel guy with the Steelers. And I'm going to the Jets. The Jets need cornerback help really badly. I think he'll go there on a 2-year deal worth $7 million per year. I think the Jets are probably going to lose Brian Poole, so to have Mike fill in as their slot corner, who does have flexibility of playing the outside, could really work in New York. Number 37 is Shelby Harris, the defensive tackle for the Broncos, or former defensive tackle. I do think he's going to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars for $7 million a year over 1 year. Shelby has always been a pretty solid player and was really good this year, especially in the run-stopping department. He could definitely create holes for both Josh Allen and Kayvon Chaisson this year and make their job easier from the pass rushing side, and also get some run stops too. At number 36, you have John Johnson. I don't really think the Rams can afford him, so I think that the Jaguars are going to land him on an $11 million deal over 3 years. Now, John is only 25 years old and has a ton of upside, as he's very versatile. He can play in the box, he can play a little deep too, and I think could be used great to help that Jaguars secondary. At number 35, you got Leonard Floyd. He's an edge rusher. I think because of last year where he got like 11 sacks, his price value goes way up, and that's why I have him going to the Raiders at $12.5 million, who could really use some edge rusher help. And I do think with that move, they would move Clelin Ferrell back to 3-4 defensive end. I think they should move to a 4-3. And then Max Crosby and Leonard Floyd are the outside linebackers, and they kind of do something with that. Number 34, you have Carl Lawson. Carl Lawson was really good last year, even though did not do that much in the sack production. He did create a lot of pressures and disrupted the QB. I think he'll go to the Patriots on around a $9 million deal over 2 years. I think the Patriots desperately need front seven help, and with Carl Lawson, I feel like a guy that Bill Belichick could really help would fit perfectly into their scheme. Number 33, you got Jadeveon Clowney. I don't really know about Jadeveon Clowney at this point in his career. He's really on the downside of his career, and I think he's going to go to the Chiefs. Yes, the Chiefs. $6 million over 1 year. I mean $5 million a year. I think he's going to be asking for 10, and then that's going to slightly go down, and then he's going to go to the Chiefs. At number 32, you have Marcus May. I was thinking about him going to the Jaguars earlier, but then I was thinking because the Jets have so many needs and safety is not, one of their top needs. But why would they let this guy go? He's so good. He can play in the box. He can play single high. He can even get in coverage. And that's why I think he'll be franchise tagged for $11.1 million, which is the safety franchise tag. At number 31, you have Yannick Ngakoue. Yannick is a young 25-year-old pass rusher. Has flexibility of playing both the 4-3 and the 3-4 outside linebacker. He was traded twice last year, and I think his market value has gone from around 18 million down to 14 or 15. I think he's going to sign with the New York Giants for 15 million over 4 years. The Giants need edge rusher help, and he would fit perfectly in that scheme, as he could play 3-4 outside linebacker. I mean, he's only 240, so he could definitely do it. At number 30, you have Desmond King, and I think he's going to go to the Colts on a 3-year deal worth $8 million per year. Desmond King, he's so versatile. He can play corner, he can play safety, strong safety, free safety, slot corner, whatever you want him to be. And for a Colts team that might lose Malik Hooker, this would be a great fit for him. And also, they are not the strongest at cornerback, so he could play nickel at some points, and then he could play safety, whichever safety position, because he can play both. Number 29, you got Matt Judon. Matt Judon is pretty good. He was a little better in 2019, but he is still very good this year, even though he wasn't quite as good. And I am going to a very edge rusher needy team in the New York Jets. They have a lot of cap space and could definitely use an edge rusher like Matt Judon. At number 28, you have Matt Milano. I think Matt Milano is going to go to the Patriots on a 2-year, $13 million deal. Now, I know the Patriots are not famous for splashing cash, but again, they need front seven help really badly. And if they could get Matt Milano, that would help them so much. At number 27, you have William Jackson. I have him going to the Colts on a 3-year deal worth $11.3 million per year. William Jackson would be perfect, as he could be that number 1 outside corner, and Kenny Moore could probably play the number 2 corner or slot. And then if you had Desmond King, he could play the slot or safety. And then you wouldn't have to keep Malik Hooker. So that would be absolutely perfect. Number 26, Marvin Jones. I think he'll go back to the Lions on a 1-year, $6 million contract. He's been with the Lions, I believe, his entire career, maybe he didn't start with them, but as of late, he's been with the Lions. And I think that they might bring a young receiver in the draft, so to get him in there, to be that veteran receiver in the room, and he's not really that bad of a receiver, he could do really well. At number 25, I have Troy Hill. He had a breakout season with the Rams last year, and I have him signing with the Browns for a 1-year, $9 million contract. Next, you have Joe Thuney, a really good offensive guard, one of the better offensive guards. I think he's going to re-sign with the Patriots on a 3-year, $14 million contract, or a 3-year contract worth $14 million per year. At number 23, you have Taylor Moton. Nobody really talks about Taylor Moton, but I do think he's going to get franchise tagged for the offensive line franchise tag, which is $14.1 million. I think the Panthers are really, really good on offense, and you really don't want to break it down, and getting back Taylor Moton would be perfect. At number 22, you got Bud Dupree. Bud Dupree is a very good edge rusher for the Steelers last year, except now he's a free agent. He did struggle with injury at the end of the year, but I do think he's going to go to a team that is in win-now mode and is in desperate need of an edge rusher, and I think he'll go to the Titans on a 4-year deal worth $17 million per year. At number 21, you got Corey Linsley. I think he's going to go to the Ravens on a 2-year, $20 million contract, $10 million per year. I saw something where Corey Linsley is probably not going to go back to the Packers, and the Ravens could really use an offensive lineman, and especially a center, and that's why I think that they should sign Corey Linsley. At number 20 is Melvin Ingram, and I also think he's going to sign with the Ravens on a 2-year deal for $8 million per year. Melvin Ingram has kind of fallen off last year. He's always been decent. You guys saw I had them losing both Matt Judon and Yannick Ngakoue, so if you can get Melvin Ingram back and maybe re-sign Tyus Bowser, I mean, you are definitely losing a lot, but at least you're not losing too much. Number 19 is Corey Davis, and I also have him signing with the Ravens. This is crazy. I didn't realize all 3 of them were going to be right next to each other, but he would just be an awesome option for Lamar Jackson, just a guy that he can just throw it up to, because Corey Davis is 6'3". I have him signing with the Ravens on a 3-year, $11 million contract. Number 18 is Brandon Sheriff. Brandon Sheriff, along with Joe Thuney, has been one of the better guards over the past couple of years. And I do think he will re-sign with the Washington football team with a 3-year contract worth $14.5 million per year. At number 17, you got Marcus Williams. Marcus Williams is actually tied for the youngest player on this list with Curtis Samuel. And I think he's going to go to Curtis Samuel's former team, which is the Panthers. Imagine Marcus Williams and Jeremy Chin right next to each other. That would just be deadly. I am going to the Panthers on a 5-year deal worth $12 million per year, and the Saints cannot afford him. Number 16 is JJ Watt. Now, I actually had him going to the Browns, but of course he just signed with the Cardinals a couple hours ago. I have him signing with the Browns on a 2-year, $14 million contract. Well, 2-year deal, 2-year, $28 million contract, I should say. $14 million per year. The Cardinals got him for a 2-year deal worth $31 million per year. And J.J. Watt was rumored to go to one of 3 teams: the Browns, the Bills, or the Packers. But he ended up signing with the Cardinals. So, I mean, it's decent there, but, I mean, now Hassan Reddick's probably not going to come back. But, I mean, I was close. I was close with the prediction. I got one of the top teams right, and I was kind of close with the average salary, too. Number 15 is Richard Sherman. And yes, I have him going back to the Seahawks. Both Quentin Dunbar and Shaquem Griffin are free agents, and I think if Richard Sherman would go back to the Seahawks, that would be a great storyline, as he's probably going to retire as a Seahawk. I have him going back to the Seahawks on a 1-year, $8 million contract. Number 14 is Lavonte David. Lavonte David has been a very solid player throughout his entire career, and it's crazy, he's still only 31. Like, you'd think he'd be like 35 at this point. I have him going to the Broncos on a 2-year, $27 million contract. I know you guys are like, why would he want to leave the Buccaneers? Why would he want to leave the Buccaneers? That's because if you had to choose Shaq Barrett, Chris Godwin, Lavonte David, I think you know that Shaq Barrett and Chris Godwin are going to be further up this list. So Lavonte David, while he is great, you do have Devin White there, and he is not as much of a, I don't think he's quite as good as the other two, and he's older than the other two, and they can't can't pay all three. So I think he goes to the Broncos, who have needed a linebacker for years. Number 13 is Will Fuller. I think he's a little overrated on this list, but I am going to the Jets on a 3-year, $45 million contract. I'm going to the Jets because Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, or if they keep Sam Darnold, needs weapons. And to have Will Fuller there would be great, as he was on track for 1,000 yards if he played all 16 games. A problem with Will is his injuries, and of course, he was suspended this year as well, so that's why he didn't get 1,000 yards, and that's why he was on track. Number 12 is Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju Smith-Schuster is another very solid player, and I think Juju has a couple of options in terms of this free agency class. This one's an unpopular opinion, but I think he's going to go to the Chicago Bears. He's going to get $14 million a year. I mean $15 million a year. Sorry about that. Over 4 years. He is very young, still like 25. And I mean, I don't really think the Bears are going to keep Allen Robinson. So if you can replace him with Juju, it is a downgrade, but Juju is still a very good receiver. All right, number 11, we have Hunter Henry. And I think he's going to go back to the Chargers on a 3-year, $30 million contract, $10 million a year. I think you still want to keep all the weapons you can around Justin Herbert. And to have him, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams all back for another season is great. All right, starting off the top 10 with Leonard Williams. I think he's going to go to the Raiders. This is a very unpopular opinion. Based off what I've heard in the last week and the fact that I think he was a Raiders fan growing up, I think he goes to the Raiders on a 4-year, $76 million contract, $19 million per year. Number 9, you got Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay, he was one of the guys on the thumbnail, and the 3 teams there were the Giants, the Patriots, and the Lions. I think he's going to go back to the Lions on the franchise tag, which this year for a receiver is 16.4. But they might just tag and trade him, but we'll see. Number 8 is Anthony Harris. I think he's overrated on this list, but I think he's going to sign back with the Minnesota Vikings on a 3-year, $36 million contract and $12 million a year. Anthony Harris was very good in 2019, but definitely fell off in 2020, and that's why I do think that his price is still high, but I think if you're the Vikings, you have to keep. Number 7 is Aaron Jones. This one seems inevitable to me. I think he's going to go to the Dolphins on a 3-year, $30 million contract, $10 million per year. Aaron Jones is one of the top running back, a top 8. I'm sure most people would say he's a top 8 running back, top 7, even top 5, some would say, but definitely top 10. Aaron, he can catch out of the backfield and would be a great option for Tua, as he would take a lot of the pressure off Tua and would put some nice balance between both the run and the pass game. Number 6 is Trent Williams. Trent Williams, I think, is kind of overrated, not on this list, but in general. He is an unbelievable run blocker, but he's an overrated pass blocker, as he did give up 4 sacks, which as an offensive lineman, you kind of want to be 3 and under. I do think he's going to get that bag, and he's going to return to the 49ers at a 2-year deal worth $18.5 million per year. Starting off the top 5, you got Justin Simmons, the safety. I think he's going to go back to the Broncos on a 5-year deal worth $14 million a year. He's definitely going to get his bag. He's probably the best safety in this class, even though Harris, Johnson, May, there's really like a big 5 in this. So at Williams. So if you get one of the top 5 safeties, you're doing well if you need a safety. Number 4 is Shaq Barrett. Shaq Barrett, I think, is going to return with the Buccaneers, as the Buccaneers really want to keep Shaq. I think he's going to go back there on a 3-year deal worth $18 million per year. Number 3 is Allen Robinson. Everybody's dying to know. You saw the thumbnail. These are really the top 3 teams I've seen him going to: Dolphins, Ravens, Colts. I think he's going to the Colts on a 4-year deal worth $84 million. You're saying that's a lot, but if you have him with Carson Wentz, with that offensive line, and then you add those guys in the secondary and you draft an edge rusher, that is scary. Now, I know that's a lot of money between him, William, and Desmond. For the per year average salary, all that together is $39 million, I believe, or $39.3 million, and they have like $60 million in cap space. So I don't, again, I'm I'm not one of those guys that says, oh, spend all of it, because that's not how it works in the NFL. But I do think they should go out and make those signings to really put them over the top. Number 2 is Chris Godwin. I have him getting franchise tagged by the Buccaneers for $16.4 million. It just makes too much sense. And why is he gonna leave? And why would the Buccaneers let him go? Number 1 is Dak Prescott. Now the Cowboys are gonna have to do some serious restructuring and cuts to get this guy back, because they do not have the cap space right now, and they do not have cap casualties on their roster. I think he will get franchise tagged again, which I believe will cost him $37 million, or will cost the Cowboys $37 million this time. All right, everyone, that's gonna do it for this video. So I have 2 videos popping up right now. One of these videos is my offensive NFL needs, and the other video is my defensive NFL needs. So I kind of base it off those. So if your team signed a wide receiver here, that probably means they needed a wide receiver in that. But yeah, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.